Good morning, children. I'm back here with a new topic today, that is pipelines and water transport. Children, in the previous lecture of Chapter 7, Lifelines of National Economy, I taught you in detail about rail transport. So let's begin with today's topic, that is pipelines. What is the meaning of pipeline? Children, pipeline is also a part of land transport beside roadways and railways. Pipeline is a very long pipe or tube, typically underground, used to transport water, oil, gas, etc. over a longer distance. So, children, after understanding its meaning, let's understand some more about pipeline transportation. As you can see on the screen, pipeline transportation has many advantages. It has numerous advantages such as flexibility, complete automation of loading and unloading operations, low operating cost, and environmental friendliness. Pipeline transport is a new arrival on the transportation map of India. Solids also can be transported through a pipeline when converted into slurry. The far inland locations of refineries like Barauni, Mathura, Panipat, and gas based fertilizer plants could be thought of only because of pipelines. Initial cost of laying pipelines is high, but subsequent running costs are minimal. Here on the screen, children, you can see important networks of pipeline transportation in our country. The first important network is from Upper Assam to Kanpur, which is from oil field. Second important network of pipeline transportation is from Salaya in Gujarat to Jalandhar in Punjab. Then the third most important is gas pipeline from Hazira in Gujarat, which connects Jagdishpur in UP, then Madhya Pradesh, and it has other branches also in Rajasthan, Shahjahanpur, Barbarala, and other places in Uttar Pradesh. Here you can see the map of pipelines of India. Children, we must understand that what are the advantages and disadvantages of pipelines. Pipeline transportation has numerous advantages, as we have already discussed, that they are flexible, complete automation of loading and unloading operation, flexibility, low operating cost, and environmental friendliness. And they are ideally suited to transport the liquids and gases. Pipelines can be laid through difficult terrains as well as underground, underwater. It involves very low energy consumption. It needs very little maintenance. If we talk about the disadvantages of pipelines, of course, pipelines also have significant drawbacks. First, their volume and steady flow means they could leak far more than a truck, a train, or even a ship. Second, because they run through wilderness areas, often underground leaks can be hard to spot and harder to clean up. The capacity of a pipeline cannot be increased once it has been laid. The other disadvantages are that it is difficult to make security arrangements for pipelines. So, moving on to the next topic, children, we have waterways. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages of waterways? Let's understand this. Transportation of heavy and bulky goods is very easy and cheap via water transport. Cheap coal, different ores, wood, and big size manufactured goods are suitable for water transport. Rivers and lakes are natural routes, so expenditure on their construction and maintenance is not required. Waterways experience comparatively few accidents in comparison to other ways. Rivers are the only means of transport in thick forested lands of heavy rainfall. We have disadvantages also of waterways, like time is lost due to slow speed, hence, they are not suitable for transporting perishable goods such as fruits, vegetables, and milk, etc. Most of the river flow far away from the densely populated areas where demand for transportation is more. Hence, this mode of transportation presents difficulties. Seasonal change in the flow and depth of water creates problems in transportation. For keeping desired depth in the rivers, lakes, and canals, silting of sand and soil is to be removed regularly. This involves expenditure, and the navigation is halted during such an exercise. Children, India has Indian navigation waterways of 14,500 kilometers in length. Out of these, only 5,685 kilometers are navigable by mechanized vessels. During natural calamities like flood and rains, when rail and road transport is disrupted, relief operations can be operated through water transport. And the very big advantage of waterways is that waterways play an important role in foreign trade. India's foreign trade is mainly dependent on water transport. Now let's see the national waterways of our country. Ganga River is called as the national waterway number 1, which is connecting Allahabad and Haldia. Brahmaputra River, which is connecting Sadia and Dubri, is called as National Waterway number 2. The West Coast Canal in Kerala is called as National Waterway number 3. Specified stretches of Godavari and Krishna rivers, along with Kakinada Puducherry stretch of canals, is called as National Waterway number 4. And National Waterway number 5 is specified stretches of river Brahmani along with Matai River, delta channels of Mahanadi and Brahmani rivers, and East Coast Canal. After understanding waterways, national waterways, let's understand the major seaports of our country. Children, I will explain major seaports of India with the help of map. As you can see here on the screen, there is map of India showing major seaports. So, beginning from the western side of India, we have Kandla Port, which lies in Gujarat. The importance of this Kandla port is that this is the first port to be developed after independence to ease the volume of trade from Mumbai port. It is also tidal port which caters to the convenient handling of highly productive granary and industrial belt stretching across Jammu Kashmir, Himachal, Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan and Gujarat. Next, moving downwards, we have Mumbai Port and Jawaharlal Nehru Port situated in Maharashtra state. Mumbai Port is the biggest port with a spacious natural and well-sheltered harbour, and whereas Jawaharlal Nehru Port was planned to decongest the Mumbai port and to serve as hub port for this region. Moving further downwards, we have Goa, and Goa has a very well-known port called as Marmagao Port. This is the port which is exporting iron ore. Then Karnataka has New Mangalore Port. You can see here on the screen New Mangalore port of Karnataka, which export iron ore from the Kudremukh mines. Then another one in Kerala is Kochi. Kochi is a very big port which is located at the entrance of a lagoon with a natural harbour. Tuticorin is a port of Tamil Nadu, which is a natural harbour and rich hinterland. Huge varieties of cargo to Sri Lanka and Maldives can be seen here. Another port which we can see in Tamil Nadu is Chennai port, which is one of the oldest artificial port of India. It ranks next to Mumbai port in terms of volume and cargo and trade. These are all eastern ports. Next, we have Vishakhapatnam in Andhra Pradesh. This is deepest landlocked and well protected port, originally conceived as an outlet for iron ore exports. Odisha has Paradeep. This port is one of the oldest. This is the port which is used for exporting of iron ore. Then we have West Bengal, which has two ports. One is Kolkata port and the other is Haldia port. Kolkata port is inland riverine port. This serves as very large and rich hinterland and Ganga Brahmaputra basin. Being a tidal port, it requires constant dredging of Hooghly River. Haldia port, which is also located in West Bengal, is developed as a subsidiary to relieve growing pressure on the Kolkata port. Hope children you have understood today's topic. See you soon. Till then, goodbye. Take care.